Hey everybody, and welcome to Bible class. I need your Bibles open to the second book, the book of Exodus chapter 19. We are learning all about the God of promises and covenants. This evening we're focused on the God who made a covenant with Israel. You might remember from our last study how the Lord had said to Abram all the way back in Genesis 15, "Know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. Who is he talking about? He's talking about the nation of Israel that came by God's promises through this man Abram and his wife Sarai, right? They eventually ended up, the children of Israel, down in Egypt. They became slaves there, but God had promised Abram in Genesis 15:14, "I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, the Egyptians, and afterward they shall come out." You know what the Bible word for coming out is? It's an exodus, right? And God fulfilled that promise. Now, in Exodus 19, centuries after God had made that promise, the book of Exodus documents the fulfillment of God's promise to Abram. Look at Exodus 19, verse 1. On the third new moon after the people of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on that day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. They set out from Rephidim and came into the wilderness of Sinai, and there they encamped in the wilderness. They encamped before the mountain while Moses went up to God. The Lord called to him out of the mountain, saying, "Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and tell the people of Israel, you yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, therefore," let's listen up, "if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." God is making great promises to these people, right? But he expects them to be his people. What do the people do? In Exodus 19, verse 8, they all answer together and say, "All that the Lord has spoken, we will do." And Moses reports the words of the people to the Lord. What's going on here? They are entering into a covenant relationship, a relationship based on promises. Moses comes down from Mount Sinai. He shares in the hearing of all the people what has gone on. In fact, the Lord comes down where all can see his glory at the top of Mount Sinai. Listen to what he says. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. God spoke all these words, saying, "I am the Lord, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery." What's going to form the entire backbone of this covenant? "You shall have no other gods before me." That's really important. We'll swing back around and talk about that as a class. For now, the Lord gives a wide variety of instructions throughout Exodus 20, 21, 22, 23, really all about the holiness that he expects from his covenant people. For now in Exodus 24, look beginning in verse 3, where this covenant is confirmed. Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the rules. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words that the Lord has spoken, we will do. What is this? This is a covenant. So Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord. He rose early in the morning. He built an altar. Here again is an altar constructed at the time that a covenant is established. Why is that? We'll explore that a little together. In verse 5, Moses sent young men of the people of Israel who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he threw against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient. Then this is probably a little hard for us to imagine. Moses took the blood and threw it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words. Why the altar? Why all of the sacrifices? And especially, why the blood sprinkled on the altar and sprinkled on the people? Why is it described as the blood of this covenant that God made with Israel at Mount Sinai? God has given us a lot to talk about. So let's dig in together. Thanks so much for being here, studying with me. Hope you have a great rest of your class and a great rest of this week.